there. I'm Nadira Jamal, hostess of the Belly Dance Geek Clubhouse, and welcome to this special interview series with my fellow instructors at the 2014 Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive. The intensive will be held September 4th through 7th at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. To learn more about the intensive or to register, visit bellydanceintensive.com. My guest today is Sonya, who will be teaching signature Reda-Style Raks. Starting her love affair with belly dance in March of 1996, Sonya has become an ambassador of Oriental dance in Chicago, striving to elevate the public perceptions through performances and education. In 2006, she was accepted by audition into Mahmoud Reda's first certification program in Cairo, Egypt, after 10 years of dedicated dance training. Sonya is proud to own and run Chicago's largest belly dance school and presents her beloved dance with the dignity and grace it deserves. Check her out at sonyassouk.com, spelled SONYASSOUK.com. Thanks for joining me, Sonya.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about the workshop you'll be teaching at the Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive.
Well, it is a class in which I intend for us to dance mostly, but there'll be a little bit of instruction of what we're trying to get across, which is to take the Reda-Style of Egyptian dance and apply it to our own dance vocabulary. So I'm interested in how much he has affected our dance, and I most prefer his style in how very feminine and ladylike it all comes across, and I really enjoy his particular interpretation of Egyptian dance, and I find him to be quite an asset still in our dance form today.
Mm-hmm. And for the listeners who don't know who Mahmoud Reda is, can you tell us a little bit more about him?
Oh, sure can. In his heyday, he was pretty much considered the Gene Kelly of Oriental dance. He had a lot of athletic training. He was an Olympic swimmer and all kinds of dance training, ballet. He became a member of the Argentinian national folkloric troupe, and he kind of realized, why don't we have this in Egypt? Like, why can't I be doing this for my own country? And it was a time in which there was a lot of censorship going on in his country, a lot of censorship in art and in poetry. So the idea of trying to put an Oriental dance on the theater stage seemed a very insurmountable kind of thing. But he traveled through many of the different villages and different areas of the Middle East, and taking from their folkloric dances, which can be kind of a repetitive thing to watch, and he tried to add elements of their daily life to create more of a story and to add interest. And he got basically the government job of being able to create and direct the National Egyptian Folk Dance Theater. So it was his ability to bring it to the masses in a way that they were very much enjoying seeing it, and maybe not 100% authentic, but authentic in the sense of where it came from, and then making it to be interesting on a larger, theater stage rather than in a field or by a campfire somewhere. So what's really neat, I think, is that he would, being a man, putting the dance on women and having it seem so very feminine. He actually considers himself the first fusionist, is actually how he put it when I was in Egypt, being that he put a lot of ballet and therefore a lot of arms into the style. So, it was, although it's a dance form that originates from our core, it is still very beautiful in its extensions and its poses and the way you can frame a move and, point your toe. It's just such a nice fine tuning that he put on it, and in such a way that he didn't get censored by the government for what he was doing. So kind of beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And why is it to dancers' benefit to study his style?
Well, I think that it is something that really helps refine your own expression of what you are, the style that you're dancing, the style uh, that you are currently practicing, and being able to like almost polish it with just new ideas on old moves. I remember when I came home from Cairo, my students were like, "So what new moves did you learn? Show us." And I had to try to explain them, like, we did the first 12 moves I ever learned pretty much over and over and over again, but with the different, with his stylization, when we learned about why he did what he did and how he created what he did. So I find that trying to pass that along, just because we don't get him very often here in the United States. And when you do have, he's 84 now. I mean, it's like when he comes through town, you should take his workshop by all means. And after being able to take maybe my workshop, you'll be able to follow along really well. He works a lot with traveling, which is not something you often would think of in Egyptian style, like a nightclub or cabaret dancing. It can be very dance on a dinner plate, but this is where you're actually utilizing a lot of space and a lot of directional changes. So, being able to be viewed in all three dimensions is kind of a pretty way of taking what you have and maybe applying a little bit of what his style is to it.
Mm-hmm. And, I understand that several of his troupe members, have become pretty influential choreographers in the straight-up belly dance world.
Oh, yeah.
I think Rakia Hassan was
Yep.
with him, and I think Yusri Sharif was at one point too, although I could be mistaken
Uh-huh.
about that. So it seems like this might be a good primer if you want to take workshops with even those people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Frida Fami is still around, but more a contemporary that I've taken with that I found a lot of overlap that was very beautiful was Mohammed Shaheen.
Mm.
So some of these people who have been in Rada's troupe, even when it was no longer in his hands, they still have a really refined and classical style to their dance that is very powerful.
Excellent. And now a question about your workshop. My understanding is that Rita choreographs primarily for a group. Are you going to be approaching this from a soloist's perspective or getting into any group dynamics?
I'm going to mainly be working on combinations that can be taken for a soloist, knowing that not everyone gets to dance with the troupe, but being able to show how you can change that, how you can make that a beautiful creation for a group would be part of it. It's just not the focus.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the very first time I heard about Red, I remember hearing that one of the reasons for so many of his beautiful stylizations are that when you're dancing in a group, everybody has to agree on little things like what angle is your head at? What angle is
Yep.
your hand at? So it
Yes.
seems like even if you're not getting into group dynamics, just thinking about those details
Oh, yeah.
as pieces that could be standardized for a group has a lot of value for troupe directors and so on.
Oh, for sure. Everyone has to have the same idea of what third position is and whether that upper arm is palm in or palm out, if it has a curved elbow or a straight elbow. That has to be, the same across the board in order to look very cohesive. But some of the real beautiful pieces that I've seen of him duetting with Farida Fahmy, it was wonderful that they'll dance together in the same moves, and then suddenly one will be more of a frame for the others, and then before you know it, they're dancing together again, and it's so much like watching calligraphy, just beautiful shapes intersecting and intertwining. It's just such a pretty concept. It doesn't have to be four people doing the exact same dance start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a real nice way of being able to incorporate numerous dancers.
Mm-hmm. Now, who would you say that your workshop is appropriate for?
Well, really, anyone who has some experience in belly dance will get something out of this workshop. All the way to someone who's just not from, maybe has a lot of experience, but not specifically with his work. My intention, as always, is to have a very complete handout that not only covers topically what we're trying to get across, but also maybe a little breakdown of the combinations, so that when you're in that class with me, you can spend the time literally dancing and getting the movements into your body. But then you have something to refer to later that you didn't have to constantly stop and write and stop and write. You can add your own notes to the notes. There's space for that. So I find that really helpful, just to have something that is a handout, to take with.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and yeah, any level can really probably appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. Now, it sounds like the content and the styling is specifically Egyptian, but if you're getting to that level of detail on polish and nuance and the little details, it sounds like that could be something that could be taken out in any stylization and just apply for any dance style and just applied differently.
Oh, for sure, for sure. A lot of what I've been seeing Zoe Jakes do in recent times is I'm looking, I'm going, that's a Reda combo right there. Oh my God, So I mean, it's really your own personal style you can put onto these concepts and these movements. I always I found it really funny when I was taking his training course. He would say, I want you to do this Reda camel, and to him, this camel that we do where it dips low and goes high, and he's like, my camel goes low and high, and we're like, oh, and it's so cute, to me, to think that, I've always called it a deep and high camel, and I didn't necessarily attribute it to any specific person, and to hear him like, that's my camel, So, I think it's really your own personal flair you can put onto some things you may already know, or some things that you just haven't thought about doing it in that way yet. So.
Gotcha. Now, how did you get interested in Reda-Style?
I had always liked just searching out where the history comes from, or traditionally where it is originating from, and I found a lot of different information. And bless the internet, you do get a lot of information, and some of it you could take to heart, and some of it maybe with a grain of salt. But I found his name coming up often, and I knew right before I had gotten started in belly dance, I knew my teacher had brought him, and I missed it, of course, because I hadn't quite started yet. I was 94, and I started in 96. So I was really interested in what this was, because everyone was talking about it like it was this magical thing. And so I had always been really intrigued by it. And I could find some great videos and old movies and things like that on the internet. And we would do movie nights together, my colleagues and I, and it would just be so much fun to see and try to, without all the gunpowder from the bra cups that we try to put in America, and which is beautiful too. And I love a good drum solo, but to see the softer part. I mean, you can't make an entire dance out of a drum solo. You can't make soup out of the allspice. You need some broth in there too. And I just really, I found it really engaging. And then I found, oh, well, this is Reda Troupe. Oh, this is okay. Well, I thought it was a guy. Oh, well, he choreographs for the women. And at first I was kind of surprised by that, because I don't come from a dance background, and I'm thinking, how can he put such a beautiful dance on these women, But it was just, and that's how it was saying, he puts the dance on you. And when I saw that he was teaching a series of certifications in Reda-Style, I thought, wow, wouldn't that just be the bee's knees to go and do that? And but I knew you had to audition for it, and I knew they were only taking 10. Part of me was, concerned that I wouldn't get in. I'm heavily tattooed, and, maybe I don't have the right stuff, who knows, but I went ahead and sent in my video, the only video I had at the time, and just thought, well, I either get in or I don't. And, oh my God, I did. So now I had to fly to Egypt. Okay. How do I do that? Luckily the certification came with all this, like, it's like it was like a group. It was a tour guide kind of situation. So there's people to pick you up from the airport, people to take you around. Yeah. So I felt very confident that I would be safe and that it would be, fun. And it was a very different, I mean, what I thought of when I arrived is this like once in a lifetime chance. And I was so excited to go. By the time I was ready to go home, I was like, I could definitely come back. That wouldn't be so bad. I could come back to Egypt. So it didn't have to be once in a lifetime. But yeah, my focus being here at my studio at home, I really don't get a chance to travel too often, especially to another country for a week and a half. So, it's really an exciting, if you ever get the opportunity to take a guided tour for belly dance, I would highly recommend. It's always so fun.
Excellent. Excellent. And is there a tip that you can share from your session that people can start using right now?
Well, let's see. I would definitely say so. It's a great way if you have an opportunity, and it is really an opportunity to practice your dance in front of a mirror. I know a lot of people have a little bit of a hang up about dance class. Maybe they don't really look at themselves in the mirror because they don't want to stare at themselves for an hour in the mirror, and they look at how flat their hair's gotten by then, or some crazy red flushness that you get on your chest, and you're like, no, you're supposed to be looking at your arms and your toe point and your direction. I would say the best thing that you can probably start with in a right away sense is that your energy from your arms should extend as though you're shooting out of your fingertips all the way to the walls, not just thinking to your tips, all the way to filling the room. That where you point your chin is just as important as how well you point your toe. To have the extension shoulders in your back pocket, and just really having that ballet polish, even though it's belly dance. And I think another great thing to be able to apply in a immediate kind of sense is anything that you do facing the front looks just even different and more exciting from the side or from the back, and to try different techniques of that, once you have done a move 4 times, that doesn't mean the audience is bored. I think that all those kind of little things that he likes to include, from level changes to where you're looking, can really take even what you have right now and pop it up to the next little level there. So
that's a great tip, especially for dancers who are not super experienced yet. I mean, first of all, it applies to everybody, but even if you just have a couple of moves that you've learned in your first month of belly dance, you can start applying all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame that so often we wait until students are more experienced before we start talking about it.
Right. No, it's a great thing to start applying right away. I mean, no one wants to stand in belly dance class and do brush points. But honestly, it is such a wonderful way of being able to know what it means to turn your hip out when you're pointing, or what it means to hook your foot or wing your foot, and how we can point without making little feet fists. It's really an extension, that the point doesn't have to go to the floor. It has to extend out from your center, from your hip, really. So it's a really nice fine tuning, I think.
Gotcha. So tell me, what are you the most excited about for this year's intensive?
Oh my gosh. Well, Aziza is one of my favorite instructors, but I'm really looking forward to being able to meet Helena, who I've seen in her belly rolls, in her little coin flippins, and I am a big belly work gal myself, and I'm so excited even to just go to Vegas. I've never even visited, so this will be my literal first time ever going to Las Vegas. So I couldn't be more excited about it all. The shows and even the vending. I'm just excited to be able to be a part of this really big, fancy event. So,
yeah, it's really exciting.
I've heard great things. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sonya.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you everybody for listening. If you'd like to learn more from Sonya, you can check her out at sonyassouk.com. One more time, that's SONYASSOUK.com, or better yet, take her session at the Las Vegas Belly Dance Intensive. You can register at bellydanceintensive.com. And to listen to more interviews with our fabulous instructors, visit bellydancegeek.com/Las Vegas.